Hey guys, what's good? It's your boy Pookie here. Right, we've just moved on from the pattern. To be honest, I've really neatened the pattern up since last time you saw it. It looks really nice. It flows quite well together. I've really touched it up so much more. I've decided to start this episode by flipping the board over, and we're just routering out the body of it there. The reason I'm doing this is so the battery can fit in there nice and snugly. Also, I want it to sink into the board a little bit more, as this is a drop through deck. So what I'm just going to show you now is the battery. This is the battery that we've got. Let's check the spec on it. 36 volts, 7.8 amp hours. That'll be more than enough. So I've measured it out to cut out the board there. I've also designed, and I'm just currently in the middle of 3D printing all these cases, and they'll be glued together like there, all the way around. That's the one. And I've still got the rest of it that's being printed. It's taking about 5 hours to probably print off each bit, but it's doing the job, but we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue routering this out. To be honest, I'm going to plug my ears up because it was absolutely making my ears bleed. This is so noisy, and I've only done a little bit of it, so I'm definitely going to put some earbuds in and crack on and get that last little bit routed out. So as you can see there, routed it all out. I had to go down another depth on it. Don't really matter about this snot or anything like that. I just needed to just sink into the board. Focus. Just needed to sink into the board a bit. So what's going to happen is the battery pack sits snugly in there like that. Focus. So yeah, goes in there like that. And then we've got the battery covers. I've put a little bit of foam on the underneath because I still needed an extra mil of clearance, but this will clamp down, and then I'll silicone around the edge of that. So it's going to sit there like that. Just line these up a sec. It'll be something a bit like that. They'll be all glued together. I'm probably going to cover this bit of a mess up. That's from a 3D print bed. Sometimes if your bed's not perfectly level, you can get some imperfections like that, but I'm going to be covering that up with some carbon wrap anyway. So once it's all printed off, I'll be sticking it all together, putting the ESC in, putting the motors on, and yeah, we'll be giving this a bit of a test run. But before we can do any kind of test run, I do have to cover this up. I've decided not to go with the clear grip tape, as it still leaves the board like a little bit opaque, and I've been told not to do that, and because it's such a nice design, I do want to bring up the design. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to be getting some epoxy resin. I'm going to be giving it a very thin coat of epoxy resin, and then I'm going to be getting like a little shaker with some sand in it, and I'm going to be just shaking sand on the board and getting a nice even coat of the sand. Hopefully that should give me the nice clearness that I'm looking for, and the adhesion of the grip tape, which will be the sand underneath. Hopefully this should go okay. I've seen a few other people do this online, so it should be alright, but that'll be the next thing that we probably will need to do before we can take this board out for any kind of test ride, because at the minute the top's got no grip tape and it is unprotected, so we need to get that step over and done with. So we got the board stuck in the box that it came in. Obviously nice size, nice fit. I put it in the box just in case I spill any of the epoxy resin anywhere. I've got my epoxy resin here, and it's a 2:1 mix ratio. So for every example there, for every 100 grams of resin, use 50 grams of the hardener. Got myself a little pot, a little scale, and I've also got my sand mixers and my gloves. I did also get a little can. If you can see there, I've put some holes inside, and I'm going to put the sand in there and just shake it gradually on the board once I've put a little layer, a nice equal coat on top of this. Now, I've never done this before, so this is going to be a bit of a test really. You know, I am risking maybe messing up the board, but this pattern definitely deserves to come through, so we're going to try and do that now. So we'll get the resin out. I don't know how much I'm going to use, but we'll use the first one first, not the hardener, and we'll just because I don't need too much, I only need a very thin coat. So if I use if I use 12 grams, and then 6 grams for the other one, that should be enough to coat the board, I reckon. Just making sure my math's right. That's about right. 12 plus 6 is 18, isn't it? Just have to double check. Alright, I'm going to stick my gloves on for this. Okay, glove on. Yeah, I'm going to stick gloves on because this is going to get messy. Try not filming me, please. It's not about me, this video, this is about the board, babe. This is about the board. Get your gloves on, make sure they don't rip.
What's the cam for?
You know what, I'm going to really mix up this resin. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see what it's like just on half the board first, and then if I have to do a second pour for the second half of the board, I will do. I just don't want to get this everywhere, so before I start mixing or anything, I'm going to get myself a bit of cardboard. Hopefully I should be able to get off. So I can put that on. I don't know if it's just a wait for it to slightly harden, because it still is a little bit liquid. I don't know if my terrible camera woman's been capturing everything I've been doing. She kind of runs away sometimes in the land of Nod, don't you, Kayla?
A little bit.
So I apologise if this has not been caught on camera, but I've just mixed up both the hardener and the softener.
And the softener.
That's not called softener. It's just two parts, and one's called the hardener. So I do want to wait for this to slightly thicken up, if I can do. I just don't want it dripping, like, you know, because this is, as on the board, there's a bit of a concave. It kind of scoops like that, and with a big enough scoop, it'll all end up draining down to the middle. So, oh, I'm just gonna go for it. I'll just keep working it. Or maybe if I just work it all the way down there. I don't know if that was enough. Don't think it was. Don't think it was enough. Might have needed more. We shall see. I'm just going to work it in. This probably could have been enough actually. By the time I worked it all in. Make sure I work it right up to the edges, but just don't overflow it. It's all going to want to run down to the centre, so if we can try and get it all up on the edges as much as possible. I'd say I've never done this before. I'm just going off like what I think will work with sand and epoxy resin. It should do the job. It should leave my board picture coming through just nicely. Try and get it to all the edges of my board if I can.
Like I said, never done this before. Don't know if it's going to work. Should work. But there is no guarantees in this game.
And so I think it'll just make it slippy.
What?
I think it'll just make it slippy.
Slipper?
Yeah.
Do you want to put the sand on it?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Just try and get down now from an angle. I'm looking the light to see where it all is. The reason why I've not stopped yet is I want to make sure that it's on the board. So you get one chance with this. You know, if in doubt, just keep working it in. Make sure it's all nicely worked in. Stripping down the edge. Not a bad thing. Right, I can see now when I look down at it from an angle in the light, I can see that it's all covered in epoxy resin. Now that was literally just the perfect amount. I think any more and I would have started out having drips and problems. But I think for now, that is pretty good. And you do want to try and work it out as much as you can, you know, make it nice and even as much as you can. The reason why you want to do that is you don't want bumps under your feet either, like big, you know, rises of the epoxy resin. Work it. And this is quick drying stuff as well.
See if I get this side.
Yes. So we've got the sand in there now. I'm going to do is just start shaking it over the top. Maybe start at one end and just work yourself a look. I'm going to get nice and low so I can see exactly where I'm shaking everything. Just like say shaking salt on your plate. And I'm going to keep going until all this is gone because I didn't get much. I think I added like 50 grams of it maybe. Like the salt shaker dude. Get off my elbow. We're doing this. Get this, babe. Get it in. Get it in. Beautiful. I'm just going to keep going with this because I know I'm going to need plenty of grip when I'm riding this board.
I'm just putting it out there. I don't think it's going to work.
Cheers for the vote of confidence, babe.
Okay.
I can always count on your vote.
It looks like it's been snowing.
Looks like what?
It's been snowing on your board.
Let it snow when it's snowing. I can't.
A
Probably a copyright
hailstone.
complaint.
A hailstone. It might look more like hailstone to be honest.
Make sure I get. Which one? Make sure I get all these edges. The only problem is now, I think my holes are too small to it.
We'll have to do it out.
Should sand through. I think now I got to like the bigger grain stuff like that through the hole. So I'm just gonna keep going anyway. I'm just gonna keep going, Kaylin, give it a bit of a shake. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a guy just putting some sand on his skateboard. Oh, can you see the sand, Kaylin?
You can actually.
I don't think it's turning out too bad. And the thing is, you don't need loads. You know, it's just so you've got a bit of grip.
I just don't think it's going to work.
I'm just gonna keep going because it was only 50 grains of sand. Not grains, grams.
That's what 50 grains says.
Basically, when we finish this, we mix up less. I don't know, maybe about less than the amount again. So maybe 5 grams of the other stuff. The 5 grams of one, 2.5 grams of the hardener, and that should be enough maybe to coat. No, 10 grams of one stuff and 5 grams of the other hardener. Came out a bit faster.
Why didn't you use like a salt shaker or something?
Salt shakers didn't have holes big enough for the grains.
And neither does your Dr. Pepper cat.
At the end of the day, I'll be putting all this on and then I'll be covering it up again with some more.
What, more sand?
No, more resin.
No, but if you put more resin on over the...
Only a little bit, but it'll still have a surface to grip on, so it should be okay.
I was just going to say, will it not make it slippy again?
That's all the sand, everybody. So, sand on. Whether it's enough, I don't know. Gloves, relatively clean. Let's just hope it all works. It's looking good now. You can see the picture through it. It was just the light shining on it then. It's still just fresh. I've just put the second coat on it. I literally poured the second coat on and then with a latex glove I just slowly just moved my hand around in it. And it's looking quite nice. It's got plenty of sand on it, plenty of grip. And that definitely shows the picture through. Big shout to Rad on that one. He definitely gave me a heads up. I was just going to put clear grip tape on it, but I think this definitely works better. It should look better in the daytime under natural light opposed to artificial light. But yeah, it's looking good. We just got to wait for the last box to print off and then we can start moving on to mounting on the electrics for the bottom. Sweet. Grip tape's done. Nice and dry, so you can touch it, and it's got such a nice grip under the underneath. It turned out better than I thought it was actually going to be fair, and that's looking pretty good. So if we flip this over, we'll get our battery. It's going to be going about there like that. That's the battery. And we also got the case printed off. That last piece was a bit snotty. I had a few problems with my printer. I also used a different filament, but I'm going to be spraying this up anyway. And that'll be going on there like so. It's going to look something a little bit like that. So we're going to get all this mounted, screwed in, get the battery screwed on, and then we shall put the ESC in, get the motors on. Case has been sprayed up nice, so it's all one colour now, because the other filament I had was like a slightly different colour. So we've got that. Well, yeah, slightly different black. I think it was just a different finish. I think one of them was more of like a matte finish and one was a bit glossy on the last one. So we've got it all primed and painted up the same. We've also got the ESC on there now. That's mounted. We've just got the plugs and the batteries and everything to connect up. And then we've got the motors to put on there and then the ESC case. So we're going to leave that there for part 2. Keep your eye out for part 3 because part 3 should be the last part. I don't think there's anything much else left to do except for just connect everything up, cut down the wires, do a bit of wire management on it so it all fits. But yeah, that's it for part 2. Yeah, if you want to see part 3, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, all the things.
And yeah, catch you in the next one, guys. Peace.